Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Just want to thank you guys for having me. It's been a crazy week. My birthday week. I did little bit of traveling. I went to go see a game, all of that stuff. And when I got back, I knew you were used to the regularly formatted videos that we had been doing here for quite some time since the beginning of the preseason, and I kind of strayed away from that. I went to go hang out with some homies. My guys from the Sports World had a really great time on their show. Make sure you go and check that out. A lot of stuff we were right about on that show that came to fruition today. Maybe a few things we missed on, but I think it was an overall helpful tool that I'm sure got some of you guys some plays or even gave you confirmation on some plays that you already had in your head. Now I am back here in the DFS Sweatshop. This is where I am going to be dropping videos every night. As long as there's NBA tomorrow, there will be a video from me. And we're going to go with our regular format of the show. We're going to start with our Core 4 review. That's where we discuss how well we did, or maybe if we missed the mark, how far were we off on our Core 4 plays. We weren't too far off because I ended up doubling my buy-in, so that's pretty good. It wasn't the big hit that we all look for, but any positive day in DFS is just that, a positive day in DFS. After that, we're going to jump into my best DraftKings lineup. You see it right behind me. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you a little bit of my mindset as I was creating this lineup. Then we're going to jump into the feature 4 players. We're going to be waiting on that. We got some answers to some questions we had in the Twitter and in the chat. And then we're going to do a really quick game recap, run through every game from last night's action, just because in order to know where we're going, we've got to know where we've come from. And just that quick, another night in the NBA is in the books, and there's a lot of things to learn from. Then we're going to be jumping into our player pricing. That's where we do a quick overview. This is where I generate the pool of players in my head, so that as I go into tomorrow, I can go ahead and select the core 4 players that I'll be having in most of my lineups. And then we're going to definitely jump into a game-by-game slate breakdown. This is where we talk about each game. We go over the point totals if they are available, the matchups, everything about the games that we need to know going into the next slate. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our core 4 review now. I released a video earlier yesterday where I spoke up about guys I was really high on, and the first of which was Paul George. Now, I'm sure most of you that have been paying attention and are attentive to DFS, you understood about an hour and a half before lock that Paul George was not going to be playing. He was a scratch from the game. And so then I sent out a tweet that let you know that, hey, if I had a replacement that I could put in the core 4, it would definitely be Kevin Durant, and we would pay up to get Kevin Durant. We had to move down to some spots because the salary difference was huge. We were looking at 8.1K for Paul George and about 9.5 for KD. But if you made that move, it definitely paid off for you, because he went out and it had 23 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Now, very great game from him. 55 DraftKings points. His ownership was kind of high because he was one of the more talked about guys on the slate, about 22% owned in tournaments. And of course, like I said, he was 9.5K. Really good return on your investment. At that salary, that's kind of what you were looking for, about 50 points. He gave you 55. We were good there. The next play that I talked about, I brought up, was my man, Kimba. Kimba was at home. And you know what time it is when Kimba's at home. You know who's there. I didn't even got to go into all that. But, and you know what? It's kind of funny because this happens so frequently. Midway through the game, I'm on Twitter mixing it up. We in the sweatshop, we chopping it up. And people are scared. They are panicking. If there is one player, if there is one play, if there is one item, if there is one thing that you can accept from me with confidence, is that anytime I tell you Kimba is good at home, Kimba is good at home. The man is good at home. You don't have no problem accepting this shit when it's Drew Brees. This man is the NBA's version of Drew Brees. Kemba's good at home. This is where he gets it in. And he did that to the tune of 21 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 40 DraftKings points, 40.75 DraftKings points. And he came in at a, surprisingly to me, 17.6% ownership. I thought everybody knew he was good at home. Apparently some of y'all still ain't believers. But he went out and did the damn thing. Took over the game in the fourth quarter. An excellent performance from Kemba Walker at 8.2K. He did meet the value right there on the head that we were looking for. The next guy we're going to talk about is going to be Draymond Green. This is another play. Halfway through the game, oh man, I don't know. Yeah, I'm getting tweets and the people are scared and we're going crazy. And the dude was like a rebound away from actually just straight up meeting value. But something happened and he got a block shot at the end of the game and they didn't count it. Whatever, that would have given him value as well. But he went out and almost had a triple double. This dude flirted with a double double. 11 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, a steal, a block for 37.5 DraftKings points, and he was coming in at 13.3% owned. Pretty good ownership on a player that good in a game that good that we all were targeting. Everybody was targeting that game. And that's why I went with a kind of a stack, like a mini stack, but we should have went somewhere else, but we'll talk about that in a moment. The last guy is kind of a miss. He's kind of a miss. I mean, he didn't kill you. He didn't kill you, but I mean, that wasn't a core 4 performance. That wasn't, hey, these are 1, 2, 3, 4 guys I'll have in every lineup. They have a right to be in every lineup I make. He didn't have that performance, and we are talking about Pau Gasol. He went out and had 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 28.25 DraftKings points at 18.1% owned, coming in at 6K flat. Not the most impressive performance from Pau Gasol. Actually, there was another guy in that game who really balled out. So now let's go ahead and jump into just to reiterate, my core 4 was good. My core 4 was good enough for me to double my buy-in. Now I want them to be good enough for me to triple, quadruple, or take down a GPP, but that's not a loss. That's good. I'll take that any day. Now let's go ahead and jump into my best DraftKings lineup. Of course, we know we started out at point guard with my main man, Kemba Walker. We talked when I was on the Sports World show, and I talked about this on my show many times. Whenever you have Kemba or any other point guard at home in a matchup that you really like, you got to understand the position. The dude is a point guard. He is a distributor, a facilitator. If he's going to do well, somebody next to him is going to do well. And most often, for Kemba, it is Nicholas Batum, and Nicholas Batum went ham. 48.5 DraftKings points for what we saw from him. So that was a correlation play that went together for me. Now, this lineup actually was straight up core 4. That's all I had in this lineup. This lineup began as Kemba, Draymond Green, Paul George was in there, and we also had Pau Gasol. But you got to be swiftly changeable in DFS. You've got to be connected to sources of information. The gentleman tweeted me out earlier yesterday and was like, yo, where do you go to get this information? Bro, I follow every beat writer I can find for every NBA team. They're all a part of my Twitter base. And that's where I get most of my information from. And we've even established a network in the sweatshop on Twitter where I'm talking about as soon as somebody will tweet me and be like, yo, I think Kemba's hose just pulled up. It's going down. You see what I'm saying? Like we are on it. And that's how you gotta be if you want to be a profitable daily fantasy sports player, especially in basketball, because this sport turns over really, really quick. All right, so we talked about the Kemba and the Nicholas Batum correlation. When the news dropped about Paul George, I immediately went to pay up for Kevin Durant, so I had to cut salary in other spots. We already knew Alex Lim was going to be the chalk play that everybody was going to be on. He was 30% owned. We got on him. I kind of like JaMychal Green in this slow-paced, a lot of missed shots, kind of a defensive game against Dallas. So I got JaMychal Green. He ended up exceeding value in a great way. 24 DraftKings points for him. Alex Len, of course, 32.5 DraftKings points. And I had so much salary left over that I was able to roster Chris Paul. I needed a late night hammer, somebody who I think, and see, late night hammers are not just so I don't have them. I have all my people gone. I don't have nobody for the late game. It's not just that. See, a lot of us, we're creatures of habit, and we like to see our results now. So a lot of people, they don't wait until the end of the night to roster people. Chris Paul went criminally under-owned in a very plus matchup against the Sacramento Kings. He was 4.5% owned in this particular GPP, and he should have been. This is the best point guard in the league. He should never be that low owned. So I got Chris Paul, and also to complete that Charlotte stack that we talked about, not only did I play Nicholas Batum, but I also played Marvin Williams. That turned out to be a really good play too. He had 26.75 DraftKings points at his salary. That was a definitely a good return on what I paid for Marvin Williams. Another guy that I kind of liked was Nikola Jokic. Now he was 1% owned in this particular GPP. I just like him. I just think he's the best big in Denver. I just believe that if there's any way that we can attack that Toronto defense, it is on the blocks, and this guy can actually shoot the ball too. I really like Nikola Jokic. Plus, I won some money with him recently, and so it forced me to pay a little more attention to his game. Watch him going forward. He's a really good player. I talked about him on the Sports World show actually, and I got him in at 1.5% owned, and he scored 29.5 DraftKings points. A really great return on that 4.5K salary. So, altogether, I believe this team was a part of the 300 club. Yes, 303.75 DraftKings points. This was my best lineup of the night. Now, let us go ahead and jump into one of my favorite parts of the show. This is where we do our featured 4 players. These are the guys that are the most talked about, tweeted about in the sweatshop. Everybody's talking about these guys for one reason or other. Most of them good, some of them bad. We're going to start with the Who Dat player of the night. This is going to be Zaza Pachulia. Really good game from Zaza. I mean, 1% owned in most GPPs, 3.3K. Actually, he was 0.7% owned in most GPPs, coming at 3.3K, very close to minimum salary. He had 4 points, 12 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 assists for 27 DraftKings points. If you got him in your lineup as a salary saver, he definitely did the job for you. He was a part of a Golden State stack that I had. Worked out really well too. The how did I miss that player of the night is how did I miss that again, really? Because it's none other than Wilson Chandler. This dude is now a thing, and I think we're going to see his salary approach well over 6K next time out. But at 5.5K and 9% owned, this dude just had a blow up game. You'd think people would be chasing those points, but we really didn't. We just let him go under owned. 9% owned. Dude had 25 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, and hit 3 threes for 45.5 DraftKings points. An awesome return on that small investment that you had on him. Now, the heat check player tonight came in the late games. And it's another guy, criminally under-owned in the late game from the same game as Chris Paul. This dude was 9.3K and was 8.9% owned, under 10% owned, one of the best players in the league. He went out and scored 38 points, grabbed 13 boards, 7 assists, 3 steals, a block for 73.25 DraftKings points. You know it's Boogie. You know it's Boogie. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't have him anywhere either. I played the late slate and didn't play Boogie. I faded him. I completely faded him. It's just me. I'm just very frugal with my salary, and a lot of that is because I think I know so much about guys that are second or third tier players because I watch so many games. But that's a situation where it came back to bite me. There's no way I should have won a whole slate without having Boogie in the lineup, without having Westbrook anywhere, without having Anthony Davis anywhere. All these guys had monster games. I thought I could just roster Chris Paul and it'd be fine. And it was fine. I got 300, but I didn't really get to the money the way I wanted to. So that's something that I have to work on when it comes to me. Now, this is the time in the show where we get to that one motherfucker. And I'm going to tell you, this is kind of bittersweet. This is bittersweet. Because this one motherfucker right here, this is a motherfucker who I know ain't shit. This is a motherfucker who I knew was a snowflake before he even jumped on the court. This is a motherfucker who living his life in his brother's shadow and ain't gonna never be a decent NBA player. Dude's a straight fucking snowflake before he even touched the ball. But we let Roto Grinders and we let the Fantasy Labs and all these different podcasts and people tell us that, oh, a dude got shot, a dude fell out on the steps, dude, went to jail. So now we all have to roster Seth Curry. The team is injured. We got to give Seth Curry the... Man, hell no. You a goddamn snowflake. You was a snowflake when your brother ran by you, jacked up the three, splashed it in your face while you was sitting on the bench with your snowflake ass and walked off from you and left you sitting there looking like a fool. Because you a snowflake. You been a snowflake. I ain't never wanted to roster you. And I'm glad I didn't do it today. I told people, I was like, yo, don't believe the hype. Don't fuck with Seth Curry. The dude is a bum and a snowflake. So tonight, lil bruh, you a motherfucking snowflake with your sorry ass. Gonna go out and charge us 5.2K for you. 5 stacks for you. So you can go out and bullshit around and get 11 points with 4 rebounds and 2 assists. Your sorry ass. How you play for a team that scored 24 points in a half? What kind of bullshit is that? Man, you a snowflake. And you know what? This ain't where, oh, tonight you no, you know you gonna stay a snowflake because you've been a snowflake before tonight. You're gonna stay a snowflake. Let's move on. Jump into these game recaps. Talking about these snowflakes. Yeah. First game we're gonna get into is gonna be the Atlanta Hawks traveling to Charlotte to take on the Hornets. First things first, we didn't know what time it is. Kemba was at home. We fired him up, had a really good game. Kemba saw 34 minutes, had 21 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. We had a really good game from Cody Zeller. If you had him in your lineups, he definitely paid off. I think it was about 4K flat, and for that price, you got some quality basketball, man. 31 minutes, 23 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals for Cody Zeller. You saw a great game from Marvin Williams as well. We just talked about that. Nick Batum went the fuck off. And looky here. How about your boy Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who I promised to never talk about, and I said he was dead to me. I had him in the lineup and actually cashed. So, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, you are out of the doghouse for now. He filled up the stat sheet, had 7 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. Didn't see much off of the bench. Jeremy Lamb still didn't play with that left hamstring strain. So we want to keep an eye out on Jeremy Lamb because he's really a good player when he comes off of the bench. On the Atlanta side, we saw a lot of Dwight Howard until he got ejected for his second technical foul. But in the 30 minutes we did see him, he had 10 points and 18 boards with 2 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. Really filled it up. Great game from Dwight Howard in only 30 minutes. Kent Bazemore got into the action and had 19 points with 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks for him. Paul Millsap grabbed 13 boards in a double-double effort, had 22 points, an assist, and a block for him. Really good game from him. Dennis Schroeder, who was kind of in the running to be one of the snowflakes, didn't have a really good game. In 30 minutes he played, he had 11 points, 1 rebound, 5 assists, and 1 steal. A lot of people were still on the Mike Muscala thing. I mean, he didn't have a horrible game, but I mean, on a slate this big, it don't matter what your salary is. If you're not getting at least 20-something fantasy points, there's really no need to fuck with you. There's really no need. So, next game we're going to get into is going to be the Phoenix Suns traveling to Indiana to take on the Pacers. Now, this game had a lot of twists and turns beforehand. Like we spoke about earlier, Paul George was definitely a part of my core 4. I loved him in the spot tonight. And with him being out, we saw the usage go at a lot of different places. The biggest beneficiary of that usage would have had to been Jeff Teague, man. In 33 minutes, he had 21 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. He did see a higher ownership than normal because Paul George was out, so you didn't really separate yourself from a bunch of people by rostering him, but you did free up more salary space to pay up and get somebody else that you wanted. That's how I got Kevin Durant in a couple of my rosters. I had him everywhere. I had KD everywhere. Everywhere I had Paul George, I ended up having KD. I worked it out some kind of way. Now, in 31 minutes, we saw Miles Turner go out and grab 6 boards and get an assist and 2 blocks to go with 22 points. Decent game from him. Daddy Young had 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. And there was a time in the game where we really thought, well, I thought that Thad Young was going to ball out. but he ended up having like 24, 25 DraftKings points. Pretty good showing from him. He made value, exceeded it just a little bit. Rodney Stuckey, 13 minutes, didn't think it was going to be a factor at all. He had 2 points and 1 rebound. That was it for Rodney Stuckey. So we got to monitor him going forward. He's going to be eased back into the rotation slowly, I presume. On the other side of the ball, man, kind of rough day for T.J. Warren, man. No, he's not a snowflake. He's not. He got hurt. If you get hurt, you're not a snowflake. Now if you pull some Goran Dragic type shit where you was a snowflake and then you get hurt, that's just horrible. But this dude only played 9 minutes, man. 2 points. That was it for him. Marcus Chris, he saw a little bit of extended run because T.J. Warren was out, and I thought about starting PJ Tucker in a lot of spots, but who can predict injury? But in his 38 minutes, he had 7 points and 10 rebounds with 2 steals. That's a lot of minutes to not score a lot of points. So Alex Len, he was the chalk play of the day. He went out and had 10 rebounds and 10 points in just 22 minutes. Now, he had an awesome first half, and we just didn't see him very much in the second half. I don't know if it was foul trouble or something like that. We didn't see him a lot. The Aaron Williams, man, had a really good game. 15 points and 15 boards from him. He was a nobody, came from out of nowhere. If I would have thought anybody would have ever rostered him, that he would have made the Who Dat player, but nobody had him on their roster. What he did kind of helped no one. Now, on the next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Detroit Pistons traveling to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers. We know LeBron was on that 1-day arrest, so he was definitely in play coming off that rest to go out and have a good game. I completely faded him. I really didn't like the matchup very much. I didn't think it was going to take much for Cleveland. It would take much from LeBron for Cleveland to beat Detroit, and I was kind of right about that because we saw LeBron for about 28 minutes. He had 21 points and 3 rebounds to go with 3 assists and a block. Pretty good game from him. Kevin Love, 12 and 13. Nice game from him with an assist. Tristan Thompson had a really good game. 8 points, 14 boards, 4 blocks was what really set him apart. And he had two assists as well. Kyrie Irving, double-double with 11 assists and 25 points to go with 2 rebounds and 1 steal. Not much else off of the bench. On the Detroit side of the ball, kind of an underwhelming game for Andre Drummond. He did get 10 boards and 2 assists with a block and a steal, but he only had 8 points. And we're going to talk about him when we get into the player pricing and, of course, when we break down the slate because of this game right here, I think he's going to be in a tremendous spot tomorrow. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. John Lure, man, in 22 minutes. We got to watch John Lure. He is a thing. He had 15 points and 7 rebounds in just 22 minutes for him. Ish Smith, horrible game. 4 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal on the block, nothing from him. KCP really didn't get too well involved. He did have 28 minutes and had 9 points with a rebound and an assist. Tobias Harris, he was in the running to be one of the snowflakes of the night, but I didn't think he was going to see a lot of ownership going up against LeBron. I really didn't like him anyway, so I didn't have him anywhere. So the next game we're going to get into is going to be the Portland Trailblazers going to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. Now, of course, we didn't even know if Anthony Davis was going to be playing. Early, we woke up this morning, we were like, oh, we don't know. We just didn't know. Well, right around midday, we got word that he said that he was going to play. Then it turned into he's going to play. And if you took advantage of that, the ownership was very low. I'm talking 4.5% ownership in some GPPs. That really, really helped you out because he went out and had a monster game. 36 minutes for him, 38 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 blocks, and 2 steals. We even saw a really good game from Terrence Jones. He had 15 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks. And I'm going to say this every time. This dude needs to be on the floor, bro. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with Ajinça and Omar Asik, man. Fuck them. Terrence Jones needs to be on the floor. He is an awesome player, I think. Dante Cunningham in 25 minutes. He had 4 points and 3 rebounds with a steal. We also saw Drew Holiday getting into the action. And he was actually in the running to be how did I miss that play? But I know most of us, man, we're seasoned DFS players, and we'll go ahead and let your first game back, go ahead and score. We go ahead and let you score. We want to see where you're at, see what you can do, and then the next time around, we're going to get on you. So it's not like, nobody saw him coming. It's just we wanted to see what he was going to do before we go ahead and start to invest our DraftKings salary on you frequently. And he had a pretty good game. He played less than 30 minutes, had 23 minutes, and in those minutes he had 21 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. So that was a very good game in just a small amount of minutes for Drew Holiday. On the Portland side of the ball, Ed Davis got the start. He had 11 boards and 2 points with 2 assists. That's okay. I mean, his salary was very close to minimum. That's kind of what you would need to technically make value. But Mo Harkless had 10 points and 6 rebounds. Mason Plumlee, a nice game. He flirted with a triple double with 13 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists for Mason Plumlee. The scoring came from where it usually comes from. CJ McCollum with 24 points, Dame Lillard with 27 points, but they really didn't get anything growing in the peripheral stats, the other areas that will kind of, get that 40, that 50 points. So decent games from them scoring wise, but not a lot to talk about in any other respect. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Brooklyn Nets going to Oklahoma City to take on the Thunder, man. And let me tell you, I don't know if he can keep doing this, but every time I say I don't know if he can keep doing this, he goes out and does it again. Dude, triple double, man, from Russell Westbrook. He is fucking balling out of control right now. 33 minutes he played. He had 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 13 assists to go with a steal. We also saw a pretty good game from Vic Oladipo, who I told you guys about in the Sports World Show. 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists for him. Even Steven Adams got into the game a little bit. Had 15 points with 6 rebounds and 2 blocks. A little less than what you were expecting from him, but a decent game nonetheless. One of the worst parts of this game was going to be Enes Kanter. Man, this dude only played 13 minutes. Why is Enes Kanter only getting 13 minutes? Something's going on here. Because in the 13 minutes, he had 13 points and 3 rebounds with a block. Something's definitely going on there. On the Brooklyn side of the ball, Trevor Booker stunk. And if I wasn't one of the only fools that rostered him, he would have definitely been the snowflake of the night, because he ruined a really good lineup that I did have. And in 22 minutes, he had 4 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson is continuing his little mini hot streak. He had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals in 28 minutes. Nothing from the point guards. We saw Bojan Bogdanovic play shooting guard and had 13 points and 3 rebounds and 2 assists. Back to the point guards though. Randy Foye sucks. He started the game and had 2 points and 3 assists. Horrible game from him. We saw Isaiah Whitehead for 17 minutes. We saw Kilpatrick for 19 minutes. So essentially what's going on until Jeremy Lin gets back, these 3 dudes are sharing point guard responsibilities, and it's not equitable for daily fantasy at all. So we're going to avoid that situation altogether. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Boston Celtics at home welcoming the Golden State Warriors to the arena. And not only did they welcome them, but they bent over and let Golden State just beat the dog shit out of them. We saw 23 points and 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block from Kevin Durant. Curry didn't even have to do too much. He had 16 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks in 36 minutes. Klay Thompson is the story of this game. He went off, man. 28 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Really great game from him. And, of course, Draymond Green. We talked about him in the core 4. He did flirt with that triple-double. And Jaja Pachulia was somebody we talked about as well. On the Boston side of the ball, not a good game from Isaiah Thomas. I told you I didn't like him. I told you I didn't like him yesterday. I just didn't like him. I don't know. Sometimes I didn't have any stats to prove it. I didn't have any slick sayings or anything. I just didn't like him. I liked Avery Bradley more. If I was going to go anywhere, I told you, if I was going to go anywhere on Boston side, I was going to go Avery Bradley. I told you to attack Boston rebounding. One of the worst centers in the league, Jaja Pachulia, goes out and grabs 12 boards against him. Come on. This is what I'm doing. I'm giving it to you. It's up to you to take it. All right, Marcus Smart, man, we got to keep an eye on him. He had injury concern, left the game and went to the locker room, didn't return. But in 24 minutes, he had 10 points, an assist, and 2 steals for him. Avery Bradley, we talked about him, had 17 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals with the block in 34 minutes. We saw a lot of scrub love from the rookie, and then from Jaylen Brown and Terry Rozier. Saw a lot of scrub love from them because it was a blowout. They blew the doors off of them. But we can maybe look to them going forward. But for now, I mean, it is what it is, man. This is a team that they're waiting for Jay Crowder to come back. And once Crowder comes back, I think they're gonna put it together a little more defensively, which would definitely help them offensively. Next game we're gonna talk about is gonna be the Dallas Mavericks, where our snowflake of the night is from, and the Memphis Grizzlies. They were not at the Grindhouse. They were in Dallas. Uh, Chandler Parsons, man, like he's coming along. At some point, he's going to be a very viable fantasy option, just not now. He's not ready yet. He had 23 minutes, 12 points, and 2 rebounds for him. Jermichael Green, we talked about him, 6 points and 12 boards. Marc Gasol, not a good game from him at all. Even Mike Conley really didn't have a great game. And they didn't need to have great games because this team just sucked so bad that they just beat the brakes off of them. On the Dallas side, Harrison Barnes, 15.7 rebounds. Didn't drink that Kool-Aid. Didn't think about him at all. Bogut grabbed 10 boards and had 2 points. Of course, you talked about Curry and his bad game. And Wesley Matthews, this dude's getting $20 million a year to suck. That is crazy. That is crazy. That dude's a bum. He's getting like $20 million a year just to stand around and jack up threes and shoot 33%. Horrible player. Next game we're going to get into is going to be the Denver Nuggets at home against the Toronto Raptors. We knew we could target this game from a Toronto perspective along the perimeter. We knew Kyle Lowry was going to be a really good play. A lot of you definitely still believe in DeMar DeRozan. I'm more of a peripheral guy, so I didn't really roster him very much, but he did go out and have a great game. 30 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals for him. Kyle Lowry grabbed had 5 boards, dished out 13 dimes, and had 18 points for him. DeMar Carroll, pretty decent game, 11 points and 3 rebounds with 1 steal. At 3.6K, you can ask for too much more than that. Jonas Valanciunas had 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist in his 37 minutes. On the Denver side of the ball, we saw a really good game from Moutier. Really good game from Moutier. Moutier scored 45 DraftKings points, man. He went out and dished out 90 cents, 9 dimes, 6 rebounds, and 25 points for him. We already talked about Wilson Chandler, the awesome game that he had. Danilo Gallinari had a pretty good game, 29 points, 9 rebounds, I believe. 1 steal, 1 block, 1 assist, 1 steal for him. Yusuf Nurkic kind of stunk up the joint for a little while until my boy Jokic got in there. He had a pretty decent game off of the bench in 27 minutes. He had 8 points, 12 boards, and 4 assists to go with a block. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers at the crib without D'Angelo Russell. Man, that news came out like after the lineups had locked and everything, and it just so happened I had him nowhere. I had zero exposure to D'Angelo Russell, and that was one of those lucky times where I just don't like to roster people against San Antonio, so I just didn't have anybody. But they kept the game close. This game was not a blowout. 116 to 107, San Antonio won. And on the Lakers side of the ball, we did have a couple good performances. Swaggy P was kind of blind and unconscious, man, just knocking down threes. He had 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists to go with the block. Luol Deng had a pretty good stat line for the amount of minutes he played. 33 minutes, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal for him. Julius Randle kind of flirted with a triple-double again. He had 13 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists for him. We saw a lot of points being scored off of the bench in this game. The sweet Lou Williams in 27 minutes had 24 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. And we also saw Jordan Clarkson put up a dub in 31 minutes and have 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals for him on the San Antonio side. We finally saw another one of those Kawhi Leonard games where he just like went nuts. Had a very great game at a very low ownership. Played 40 minutes almost. Had 23 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals for him. LaMarcus Aldridge, probably the lowest owned player on this San Antonio team, had a very good game. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals to go with 3 blocks. We talked about Paul Gasol. He had a decent game. Danny Green finally woke up a little bit, showed some signs of life. He grabbed 4 boards, dished out 6 dimes, had 2 steals, and scored 10 points for him. Tony Parker, the old man, 7 assists, 2 rebounds, and 16 points for him. The final game on last night's slate is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers going to Sacramento to take on the Kings. Boogie, heat check, went nuts, did his thing. We already know what time that is. You even saw a decent game from Ty Lawson, man. He had 18 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and 1 steal. Not much from Darren Collison. He did play 32 minutes, but he only had 16 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. Uh, Rudy Gay, horrible game. Definitely could have been in the running for the Snowflake of the Night, but the game was so late, he didn't have a very high ownership, so I left him alone tonight. Costa Kufa sucks. Moving right on, Aaron Flalo, 6 points and 1 rebound for him. On the Clippers side, man, my man CP3 got started very slow. I mean, he didn't score at all in the first half, but he was dishing out dimes. He was getting out rebounds, getting a couple steals. So by the game's end, the fourth quarter, he was right where we needed him to be. He had 11 assists, 9 rebounds, and 12. Excuse me, he had 12 assists, 9 rebounds, and 11 points. Almost had a triple-double. Really good game from him. We saw Blake Griffin grab 7 boards, dish out 6 assists, had 2 steals, a block, and 29 points in 36 minutes. DeAndre Jordan finally scored more points than he got rebounds. Wow. 16 points, 12 boards, a steal, and a block for him. JJ Redick had on his 3D sharpshooter glasses, and he went very nuts. He had was 5 for 5 from 3 at one point, but he still finished with a very respectable average. He had 26 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists to go with the block. And the old coach's son jumped off of the bench. I had him somewhere, and he jumped off of the bench in 22 minutes and had 12 points, a rebound, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Now, let us jump briefly into tomorrow's player pricing. It is a 9-game NBA day tomorrow, but if you play DraftKings, only 8 of those games are going to be on the slate. The first game, Utah at Houston, is not going to be on the slate, so I don't have to worry about rostering if I'm going to roster Harden or not, because he's not in the main slate. So let's go ahead and jump into the player pricing. We're going to see what everyone looks like for tomorrow. I'm going to just do the 8-game slate. Now already, I see shit I like already. All right, the most expensive player on tomorrow's slate is going to be Anthony Davis, coming in at 10.8K at home against Charlotte. I'm going to do some digging and look at that. We've got Kevin Durant, 9.4K, Stephen Curry, 9.2, Giannis Antetokounmpo at 9.1 for him. Focus. Y'all heard about me, new camera. John Wall is at 8.8K. Hassan Whiteside is at 9K flat. So we've seen that price go up on him. And this is a matchup in Washington. So that's going to be something that we can all, take a look at. Now, I did get, let me see. Maybe. Tell me to turn down the contrast. Damn, what are you doing? Work. Okay, cool. Thanks to, I forgot your Twitter name, but you showed me that contrast. Helped out a lot on the focus. All right. So we had Giannis Antetokounmpo in a very plus matchup at 9.1K. We like Hassan Whiteside tomorrow. We always like Hassan Whiteside. Jimmy Butler is going against the Clippers, 8.6. We got Chris Paul against Chicago, 8.4. Blake Griffin, 8.3. Kemba is not at home, but he is 8.2K. I'm going to look at it a little bit, but I just love him when he's at home. He's an automatic start when he's at home. And next week, he plays San Antonio at home. Nobody's going to want him. I'm going to start Kemba. We got Andrew Wiggins at 7.8K. That price is going up. Isaiah Thomas, 7.7. Andre Drummond, probably one of my favorite plays on the slate because he's going up against the Boston Celtics in Detroit. We know they are the worst rebounding team in the league. Andre Drummond is going to grab 25 boards tomorrow. Mark it down. Harrison Barnes in Orlando, I kind of like that. Mike Conley, probably my favorite point guard play tomorrow, just off of first glance. And what I'm doing now, I'm getting a look at everybody and getting a look at the price points, and I'm establishing a player pool in my head, maybe of about 30 guys that just are in my head. So when I generate my core 4, I know who I want to build them around, right? So I like Mike Conley. I even like Marc Gasol going up against Cat tomorrow. I think I like that one. We got Eric Bledsoe going to Philadelphia. That might be a little tasty. Otto Porter, you can keep on fucking with that. I'm not. I'm just not. Like, somebody who I really respect hit me up on Twitter, was like, yo, you need to start telling people the truth about Otto Porter and how good he is. 6x one game, 7x the next. I don't like him, and I don't think he's that good a player. And I think that the minute that I roster him, he's going to throw up a dud. So you can have him. Do what you want to do with it. I'm not doing it. He's at 6.6K. That is too expensive for me for Otto Porter. We got Devin Booker at 6.5. Joel Embiid is up to 6.4 now. DeAndre Jordan, 6.4. Tyreek Evans is still out. We're not worrying about him. Goran Dragic, 6.3K. That might be a nice play. Terrence Jones is up to 6.2, where he was at the other night. Dwayne Wade at 6.1K. Tobias Harris, 6K. I like him. Again, that's another way to exploit that Boston can't rebound. Tobias Harris is a very good rebounder, and he's good in transition as well once he gets the rebound. Drew Holiday, 6K for him against Kimba tomorrow. We got to find out if he's going to be starting to come off the bench. If the word was he was starting, I would have had him. I would have had him somewhere. I don't let that come off the bench shit. Because if the dude in front of you just starts playing lights out, like say the guy that starts the game just starts balling, they're not going to be like, oh no, I know you got 20 points in the first quarter, but we just, we want to give him some playing time, so you sit down. I know you're hot as fuck. They're not going to do that. So I like people that start games. Zach LaVine at 5.9K. That price is pretty decent for him. But they are in Memphis now, going to the grindhouse. We gotta look at that. Nikolai Vucevic, 5.8K. I kind of like that against Bogut, man. That might be a nice play. Bradley Beal, 5.5. We gotta check on him, see what his injury situation looks like. We got Ish Smith. We've got Serge Ibaka. Ish Smith, Serge Ibaka at 5.4K for him. Dirk, he's still going to be out. Rajon Rondo's going to be questionable. We got to check on him. KCP, 5.2. Wesley Matthews, don't do it. MKG, don't do it. Josh Richardson is there at 5K. JJ Barea is still out. Nerlens is still out. We got to get some word on Deron Williams. Tim Frazier is there at 4.9. We're not messing with that. Robin Lopez, Rolo, 4.8. Going against the Clippers. That might be a pretty good play for him. Tyson Chandler, we got to find out if he's going to be out. Because Phoenix is playing, and they're playing against Philadelphia. That's going to be a good game to target. A lot of young players. A lot of points are going to be scored in that game, I believe. We got Amir Johnson at 4.3. Bogut, 4.3. Brandon Knight, 4.3. I've been riding him a lot lately. So we've got, this is an 8-game slate. If you know me, if you watch the show, 8-game slate is where I thrive. That is my thing. I love 8-game slates. For some reason, that's just where I live. So let us go ahead, now that we've completed the player pricing portion of the program. That was like 5 P's. Player pricing portion of the program. Come on now. Now we're going to jump into tomorrow's slate. We're going to talk about the first game, even though it's not going to be on the DraftKings main slate, because some of you may play the all-day games, and some of you may play FanDuel. He might be on there too. So Harden cost a lot. The end. Utah is not as slow paced as they were last year. I really believe that they have picked up the pace a little bit, and they're a team that can run. So I have no fear of Harden not getting his in this. I really think he's going to be a good play in this game. Also, he doesn't play defense, but they do have Patrick Beverly back, so you want to be on the lookout because Utah's point guard situation has been crazy. We're talking about Dante Exum. We're talking about Shelvin Mack. We don't know when we're going to get George Hill back. So I like Pat Beverly. He was at 2% owned the other night and scored like 27 DraftKings points at 4.2K, something like that. So let's move on to the next game. It is the Boston Celtics going to Detroit. This is a 200 flat over-under, with Detroit being the favorite, probably because they're at home. They are giving up 3 points to Boston. Now, we don't know if we're going to see Crowder tomorrow. If we do, it's still not going to affect the way I feel about Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond right now, first look, is my favorite play, my lock play on tomorrow's slate. He is going to get double-digit rebounds, and if he fuck around and get double-digit points, you got something there. And these guys love to shoot, love to drive to the basket, and he loves to block people's shots. So I definitely like um, Andre Drummond as a core play tomorrow. But don't take my word for it until you see my actual core four, because I'm going to show it to you. But on first glance, I love him tomorrow. Avery Bradley is somebody I think we can target in this game. We talked about Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is going to be really a good play because he shat the bed last night, so people are not going to want to roster him. But he can get some of those rebounds as well. And like I said earlier, he's really good in turning rebounds and defensive rebounds into transition scoring. So Isaiah Thomas, you gotta like Isaiah Thomas tomorrow to have a bounce back game. Didn't play very well tonight, but against Ish Smith, he's gonna run right by him and do him dirty. I see Boston actually winning this game, but I really think that if I had to go anywhere on the Boston side, it would be Isaiah Thomas, definitely, without question. Avery Bradley, I don't know how much I like Avery Bradley in this game. He's been on an insane streak. I think in like 7 games, he's got like a double-double or something like that in 7 games. Like he's almost averaging 10 boards. I don't think he does it tomorrow. I just don't. So I'll be on Isaiah Thomas. I will be on Drummond, definitely. And you might see a little Tobias Harris in my lineups tomorrow. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans at home against the Charlotte Hornets. It's a 205 point total, with the Charlotte Hornets giving up 5 to New Orleans. You know what? I'm going to take a stab once I get some more information about Drew Holiday and his minutes, because it's not like it's an injury he's coming off. He's just getting reacclimated to running with the team, playing NBA ball. He was at home doing a great thing, taking care of his sick wife for a year, and he just hasn't been used to that NBA game speed. So it may take a couple of games for him to really get to where we know he can be. But in the meantime, the price kind of matches what he's bringing to the table as far as the DraftKings scoring is concerned. So I think we can definitely take a chance on him tomorrow. Kemba Walker is not like a superb defender, but so I could definitely go New Orleans point guard in this game if he starts. If he starts, I like him. If he doesn't, not so much. Kemba, on the other hand, he's got to be driving to Anthony Davis. I don't know how I feel about that. I like Kemba much more at home. If I was going to take somebody off of the Charlotte side, like on some guaranteed shit, it would be Cody Zeller, because his price is going to be cheap. It would be maybe Marvin Williams, and it would definitely be Nick Batum, because I think Nick Batum will destroy Dante Cunningham. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Dallas Mavericks going to Orlando. This is a shitty point total. I'm talking about 183 points. Dallas cannot score right now. Maybe you guys were on the right track with the whole Seth Curry thing, so maybe this will be the night to start him. I'm not doing it. I'm not fucking with it at all. The only player that I may even look at in this game is going to be Elfrid Payton on the Orlando side and Nikolai Vucevic on the Orlando side. I want nothing to do with anything Dallas. You might get away with a little Harrison Barnes, but I don't like him at all. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Miami Heat going to Washington to take on the Wizards. We got to find out what's happening with John Wall and his minutes. Is he good? Is he going to be playing a full 40? Or is he going to be able to play that if the team needs him? This is a 199.5 point total, with Washington being the home favorite, giving up 4 points to Miami. I love Whiteside in this game. Goran Dragic is back. I like Goran Dragic. The way these guys run, this can be a fast-paced game, and I like to have, I like to have Goran Dragic out there pushing the ball with Whiteside going down the court. I think that's going to be a really good combination tomorrow to have. So I like I don't like John Wall as much. I mean, this dude's a superior talent. Like he's one of those like almost matchup proof guys. But I think that there's other spots I can go to, at point guard, maybe even cheaper, and get that same production that I would take a chance on not getting by rostering John Wall against one of the league's best defenses against point guards. So, in summary, I love John Wall. I love Whiteside. Don't like John Wall. Don't like Otto Porter. I do like Markieff Morris, and I like Goran Dragic in this game. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Phoenix Suns going to Philadelphia to take on the Sixers. There's no point total as of yet because there's a ton of injuries on both sides of the ball, or actually mostly on Philadelphia's side of the ball. And we know TJ Warren was going to be hobbled with something, so we don't know how that's going to work out. We got to find out something from there. We also know Joel Embiid is on that minutes restriction, didn't play the first leg of that back-to-back they were on, but he played the second game. Jahlil Okafor wasn't supposed to play. He was supposed to rest, but he did play. This is all fucked up. I don't know. I don't know what to do. We gotta find out as we go. You know I like Rashawn Holmes at all times. If one of the guys sits, either one of the guys sits, I'm playing Rashawn Holmes, no matter which one it is. Especially if Embiid is out, because Embiid is so much better than Okafor that I think that Rashawn Holmes can get those added minutes if Embiid sits and Okafor plays and doesn't play very well. Sergio Rodriguez is not on the table for me in this game. On the Phoenix side, I love all of the perimeter players. I love Devin Booker. I love Bledsoe in this game. He didn't have a very good game last time out, so his ownership is probably going to be a little low. Plus, it's a 10-game slate. There's plenty of other places to go if you want to. But I like Eric Bledsoe. Even off the bench, I like Brandon Knight. One of my favorite plays from this game on the Philadelphia side is going to be Gerald Henderson. You know how I feel. I like the roster Gerald Henderson because nobody takes him, and he always goes out and scores 20 points. But nobody rosters him, so the algorithm doesn't pick it up, and his price stays somewhere around 3K. I like him tomorrow. Next game we're going to get into is going to be the Memphis Grizzlies at the crib in a 204.5 point total. The Minnesota Timberwolves are coming to town, and the Timberwolves are giving up 1.5 points. I like Mike Conley. Fire him up. I'm not jumping on the Andrew Wiggins in the grindhouse. They're a very good defensive team. Tony Allen may be back with the team. I think Karl Anthony Towns is definitely in play. Conley's price is so low. It's at 6.8K. He's one of the better point guards in the league. Had not a very good game last time out, so his ownership may be low. His ownership might take a hit for that. I think we can roster him with confidence. I also like, for the cheap, I like JaMychal Green. We talked about him earlier. I like him for the cheap. You can look at Zebo for the cheap there. Gorky Jang is going to be a good play, I think. Karl Anthony Towns always is in play. But against this Memphis team in the grindhouse, I'm not going to have as much exposure to the game altogether as I will to some other games. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Golden State Warriors going to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks. This is the highest point total of the night. It's a 223.5 point total with Golden State only giving up 8 points. Now, a lot of you may say Giannis, because he's a point guard on DraftKings, but he's not going to be a point guard in the traditional sense against the Golden State Warriors. So, I don't like Giannis tomorrow. I do like Jabari Parker, though. I do like Jabari Parker. And there's going to come a time during the season where I say fire them both up, like your Lowry DeRozan, your Nick Batum, and your Kemba Walker, your Avery Bradley, and your Isaiah Thomas. I'm going to tell you, Parker, Giannis. This is not one of those nights. I might stay away from this game altogether unless I can get a good read on who is going to be the one to really set the blowout in motion. If I get that guy, who's going to be the one to set the blowout in motion? I think this game is going to be a blowout. They're going to run away with this shit. Jason Kidd is one of the worst coaches in the league, and this is a -8 without him saying anything. So imagine once he starts coaching, what's going to happen. Jason Kidd is a horrible coach. So not really going to touch too much on this game, but I think you can find some scrub love in there, I believe. People like Patrick McCaw may be a decent play. Ian Clark off the bench may be a good play. It was funny because I saw, they got that big four at Golden State, and the game was already blown out. They already blew the team out. They blew Boston out last night. And the fourth quarter, there was a scrubs, but it was 3 scrubs, and it was Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. So then Curry comes in, and Draymond Green and Klay and Durant sit down. So it's 3 more scrubs with these guys. So you can play him. You can play him if you want to. You can play him. Blowouts don't affect this team as much as they do other teams. Because, the only person that they were sitting a lot last year was Curry. He had that ankle issue. So if they had a safe, comfortable lead deep in the third quarter, you wouldn't see Curry anymore. But he's completely healthy. they're still establishing chemistry. They're going to be on the court together a lot more than you would expect from a team that's blowing another team out. So the next game I'm going to move on to is going to be the LA Clippers, second leg of a back-to-back at home, and a 203 point total against Chicago. Give me some Jimmy Butler. Give me some Jimmy Butler. I like Jimmy Butler tomorrow. I like him. He's one of my favorite players on the slate. I think in this back-to-back, Jimmy Butler going up against Luke Mbamute for 15 minutes of the game, because that's all they're going to get, 15 minutes, Mbamute. The rest going to be either the coach's son or Jamal Crawford, and he torching all of them. Jimmy Butler is on the incline, so I like Jimmy Butler tomorrow. He's probably one of my favorite players on the slate, aside from Andre Drummond and the other guy we talked about. This is the last game on the slate. This is the late night hammer game, so you can look to a lot of these guys not being rostered as much, just because people want to see their money work for them and they want to see the money being made right then and there, and they don't have the patience to wait until Chris Paul or Jimmy Butler plays later on in the night. So on the other side of the ball, I do like Chris Paul. I think he's going to be a really good play in this game too. Blake Griffin, I like him a little bit, not as much. Not as much as I would if they weren't on this back-to-back. Because he took a lot of shots. He banged with Boogie. And Boogie ate him up all night last night. So DeAndre Jordan would probably be a good play. That cheaper salary too. Only thing I like on the Chicago side is Jimmy Butler. I don't like Dwayne Wade in this game. If Rondo comes back, I think he is rosterable. If Rondo does come back. But Jerry Grant, I'm not doing that. I don't care, even if he's like 3.5K. I'm not doing that, Jerry Grant, because he had a shitty game out last time against Utah. So I'm not doing that. But I love Jimmy Butler in this game. So we have rolled through tomorrow's point totals, did some player pricing, discussed our feature 4 players. We went over my best lineup. We started with the feature 4. I've given you everything I have because I love you, and I am very appreciative that you are a part of the DFS Sweatshop and you're making this show such a success. We started this thing, man, in the preseason, NBA preseason. We started this thing, and so far, man, we are growing exponentially, man. So I really appreciate it. I hope you all had really good nights tonight. But if you didn't, remember, we threw an interception. We can throw a pick 6, but guess what? They got to give the ball back, and we're gonna make another drive, and that's what we're gonna do, right? So if you would like to support the show, there is definitely a link in my YouTube description. It says support show simply, so you can go ahead and click that, support the show. If you don't want to do that and you want to do it a different way, my personal PayPal is linked to my Twitter and to my YouTube. It is simmonsmaurice95@yahoo.com. If you win big and you want to leave me a tip, I have no problem with that. It's all going to go to advancing the show, advancing the brand. Thank you very much. It has been an awesome week and an awesome show. This is your DFS Jerusalem. You can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Signing out for the night. Let's go get this money tomorrow. And always, always keep it 300.